Star, welcome back to my channel. So, as you know, I do book reviews. I don't know if you know this part, but book reviews are some of my favorite videos after tags and challenges, especially tags, because I love tags. Tags are amazing. But, and they're really fun and creative, and I even made a couple I can't wait to use, which I'm going to use eventually. But, so if, I mentioned this in another video, maybe even more than one video, but I have another channel, which is about TV shows and movies, a Harry Potter girl, so if you like TV shows and movies, then go subscribe to that channel. But when I originally made that channel, it was for TV shows, movies, and books. I had one channel for all of it, and so my mom made me realize, my mom kind of suggested that I make another channel for books, because not every reader likes to watch TV, not every person who likes to watch TV likes to read. So I agreed with her, so I decided to create another channel for just books, and I still have a few book-related videos on there, because I didn't have the videos anymore. The videos I already had, I moved to this channel, but the ones I didn't, I left, because it would take a lot of, and I can't speak. It would take a lot of energy to redo them, but I finally decided to redo them because it'll be better off if they're on this channel rather than that channel. So, as you know, I've been doing a Seekers review for all the Seeker books, because if you know me at all by now, Seekers is my all-time favorite book series. All-time, and there was and it even passed up Harry Potter, which was a long shot. Who knew it could pass up Harry Potter? Harry Potter's still my favorite movie, and it would be my favorite book if Aaron Hunter's books didn't exist, And when I because Seekers is number 1, Warriors number 2, Harry Potter's number 3. But when I read Aaron Hunter's other 2 series, Survivors and Bravelands, they may or may not be that good to pass up Harry Potter again. But after I finish Warriors, I'm going to read them, so I'm going to see if I think they're better than Harry Potter or not. By the way, I can't speak. But I still think they're going to be pretty high up on the list because I am a big fan of Aaron Hunter's works, but again, I might not, so we'll see. Yeah, I have like 3 books of the for the first 3 books reviews. A Quest Begins. What's the second book called? Graveyard Lake, right? Yeah. What was the third book called? Crap. It's like on the tip of my tongue. But the third one is on this channel. The first 2 are on the other channel. So I'm gonna eventually redo those. And I also have a channel that's about the entire Seeker series as a whole. I also have a video that's about the entire Storymaker series as a whole. I have not done reviews for those yet. I'm waiting until I reread them to get more in depth in them, because I only did read them once, and it wasn't that long ago. It was this year, but it was before I made the BookTube channel, so I never ended up doing reviews on them individually yet. And I've also recently decided to get tabs, so I can tab my favorite parts. So because I've been wanting, because sometimes I just wanna, because for movies and TV shows it's easier to just look up your favorite scenes and be able to watch them, but with books it's harder. You can't always find your favorite scenes. So I want tabs to pinpoint my favorite scenes, and I'm gonna give them a try. I may or may not like them, so I may or may not keep them. We'll see. But I've done Skinjacker Trilogy. I mentioned several times in this book, because it's also in my top list. I'm also thinking about doing a top 10, top 20 best my all-time favorite series is. But I'm gonna wait until I read a few more. So tell me down below if you would like to see that video eventually after I read more books on my TBR list. That is. But anyways, I've done these Skinjacker reviews. I think I did a video about them on the whole. I don't know if it's on this channel or that channel, so I'm gonna have to see if I have to redo it or not, and when I feel like doing it. But the first book review is on the other channel. That's why I'm redoing it now, because I finally am in the mood to redo it, because it took a lot of energy to get to that mood. But the second and third book reviews are on this channel, so if you like this series or want to see it, then want to read it, then you should check them out, but only if you don't care about spoilers, because I do get really in-depth in the book. So they are definitely spoiler filled, not spoiler free, because I know some booktubers do spoiler free, but I don't, because I want to really get into the book. I want to get into all the things that I love and all the things that I hate. So yeah, and I'm gonna try my hardest not to get to a rant about how much I hate Mary Hightower. I can't guarantee anything because I hate that woman. I never thought I would ever hate a woman more than Dolores Umbridge from Harry Potter. But here comes Mary Hightower, and I want to choke her, even though she's technically already dead. I can't help myself. I hate her that much. So here's the book review for the first Skinjacker book, Everlost. This was a really good book. I love the entire trilogy, obviously, since it's in my top list. So far, out of the books I've read, I think I put it at number, let's see, Harry Potter's on number 3, then this would be at number 5, because the effigies is a little bit better, in my opinion, but that's just me. But I am a sucker for witches, which technically they're witches. They never call themselves witches, but anyone with magic, I consider witches. I don't know if that's just me, but if you have magic, I consider you a witch. So yeah, but this is an awesome trilogy. Obviously, I have it in my top 5s, don't I? And I mean, it starts out really amazing. I love how it just I love books that kind of just jump right into the plots, you know? I mean, yeah, we need building up in some areas, but I love when it jumps into the plot first and then does some building up. I don't know if that's just me, if that's really rare, I don't know. So don't ask me, because I will not be of help with you. In the very first chapter, it talks about 2 characters, which are the 2 main characters, Allie and Nick. I almost said Mikey, but like, no, that's not a main character. I mean, not yet at least. He becomes a main character, but that's another story. Well, which I will get into Mikey in this book, because he is in this book. So, if you see in the cover, there's 2 people. That's Allie, that's Nick. But in the very first chapter, it talks about them. They do not know each other. They're in 2 different cars. And then they get into a crash. They crash each other. And then 9 months later, they wake up. And they're in this strange world when they meet this strange guy who's climbing trees. He doesn't have a name. And he explains to them that they are dead and that it takes 9 months for you to wake up in Everlost, which is the place they're in. Henceforth, Everlost. So yeah. It's mentioned that when you're in Everlost, you tend to forget who you are. So he forgot his name, he forgot how long he's been there, he forgot pretty much everything. You also eventually learn that people in Everlost come up with a routine, which is a routine they do every day and they can't break from it. In another book, what is it, book 2? I think it might be book 2. It's definitely book 2. They also discover, which I've already mentioned in my Everwild one, which is, should I tell you? Because that's kind of is a spoiler. I mean, it's a spoiler for the next book, and this isn't about the next book, so I won't even mention it. You can learn it. But Allie finds herself not losing herself, which she doesn't explain, which you will understand in book 2. Why she isn't losing herself as the story goes on, because even Nick loses himself for a little bit, but Allie manages to bring him back for a while, but then they kind of get separated. But I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. Let's take a step back to the guy they meet. Allie decides to call him Leaf because they found him surrounded by trees, and leaves are on trees, so she decided to call him Leaf. So Leaf's only in the first book though, which is kind of sad because I kind of liked him. And, so yeah. Leaf wants them to stay, but they don't want to stay. They want to go. They want to go to their families and see how they're doing after 9 months of their children being dead. So they go on this journey, and Leaf decides to join them even though he was scared at first, because you can only be, because people who are dead, who are in Everlost, can't step on solid ground, if that makes any sense. You'll understand when I explain it more. It's like they can walk on places that have died, like a forest that had been burned. They can walk on that because the place technically died. A building that burned again, I don't know, that's the first thing that's coming to my mind. I am not an arsonist, I swear. It's just, I don't know. A building that was burned, even if it's been remade or whatnot, it was still a dead spot. That's what they call them, dead spots. It's the only place that a person from Everlost can walk on. If they walk on a place that is living, like the living world, they sink to the center of the earth, and it's said that if you sink to the center of the earth, that's it. You're stuck there forever, not being able to get out, pretty much losing yourself. Which Allie almost gets stuck in the earth, and I don't remember if Nick almost does, but I know Allie almost does in this book. But yeah, on their journey, they meet Johnny O and his gang of misfits, and they don't like newcomers, so, and they've heard stories of the McGill at this point. And McGill's this scary monster, and everyone's afraid of him. And then Johnny O's threatening them, so Allie being the brave person she is like, you know, the McGill, and then, oh yeah, I forgot, Leaf hasn't joined them yet, because this is when Leaf joins them. Okay. He starts pushing Allie to the center of the earth, and Nick can't help her because his goons are like keeping him away. And then she decides to call McGill, even though she knows she doesn't know the McGill. She doesn't even believe McGill is actually real. But she's willing to do anything at this point to get Johnny O to stop. But then something comes at them, and they don't see it at first. So they end up running off, thinking that Allie did know the McGill after all. And then it turned out to be Leaf. He decided to come to help them on their journey. So the three of them keep walking. They created these snowshoes or whatever out of things they found to walk on solid or on living ground. Oh yeah, and when Nick, and whenever you die, how you look is how you look forever. And when that crash, Nick was eating chocolate, and when the crash happened, so he got chocolate smeared on his face, so he's stuck with that forever. And the thing you focus on is what you become. Like this one person who must have died drowning because he has swim trunks on and is always dripping wet. I forgot his name. It starts with an S. I forgot his name though. Well, it's not his actual name because everyone has nicknames on there because no one really remembers their names after they've been there for a while. Except for Allie and a few other people, which I'll get into that. Well, actually, I already got into that in the Everwild. My iPad's about to die. Hold on, I'm gonna charge it and then I'm gonna continue. Good. Okay. Better. So, what was I saying? Oh yeah, I get more into that in the Everwild book review. So watch that after this, and then watch the Everfound one. But yeah, so they end up meeting this person who lives. I want to say she lives where the old Twin Towers that were bombed by this whole 7-Eleven fiasco. I'm pretty sure that's where she lived. I might be wrong, but for some reason I think that's where she lived. Because it was technically a dead spot, and it's a huge place, because she kind of needs a huge place, because she takes care of all these kids, who can't move on, or she says they can't move on. I'll get into that at the end of this book review. I'm going to try my hardest not to get on a rant about how much I hate Mary Hightower, but I'm going to fail miserably. So let's continue. Nick falls madly in love with her, like, right away. Which he just are so much better than that little... She's lucky I don't cuss. Otherwise, I will cuss her out right here, right now. Sorry, I really, really hate her. she has this one person who is kind of like her second hand, and he's also in love with her. She doesn't see him that way. She sees him as a kid. Maybe it's because he's younger. He's like 12. Nick died when he was 15, so he was older. And Mary, I'm pretty sure, was like 16 when she died all those years ago. So, or she might have been 15, somewhere around that. So Nick's more around her age. So maybe that's another reason. But she does fall for him, even though he does her so much better than that little. Barry, that's his name. I forgot his name. I wonder if I can find the other guy's name. I mean, Barry's on more often than the other guy. Where? I don't know if I'll be able to find it. I found Barry right away because he was on a lot in the middle of the story. Or it might have been closer to the beginning than I realized. They met Mary sooner than I thought. Actually, no, that makes sense because there's a lot more to do after they leave Mary. So Barry's his name. I forgot his name because he's only in the first book. Actually, I think he comes back. Was it the third book? Because I don't think he was in the second one. I don't remember. But yeah. So Barry hates Nick because Mary likes Nick, and Barry likes Mary, but Nick also likes Mary. So yeah. So that's kind of a love triangle right there. And I don't like love triangles, especially when the main person in the love triangle I hate, and then the other one I adore. I mean, I hate Mary, and I love Nick. He's such a sweetheart. He deserves the world. And Mary is this manipulative little thing that should be shot 1,000,010 times. Yeah, I hate her. I think that's obvious by now. Which I'm pretty sure I got into these rants in my other 2 videos too, because I just can't help going on a small little rant about how much I hate her. Because I do. I hate her. Okay, so yeah. But while they're there, Mary learns of this guy, Hunter, who can teach people how to move objects from the living world and bring them into his world, which there's actually a character in the second book that has that ability, a main character, but this isn't about the second book, so I'm going to try to stop getting off topic. The point of this is the first book, which is the fact that Mary, or Allie, decides that she wants to learn, because she doesn't trust Mary at all. So yeah, and so she does that. So, but she decides to get Nick and Leaf. Leaf is playing Pac-Man because he died long before Pac-Man was even created, so I had no idea what it was, and he became obsessed. Like I said, those are routines people get stuck in, so he gets stuck in his routine, and so does Nick. Nick's routine was different than most routines. Like, people are either playing volleyball or they're swimming, if they even have dead pools, I don't know, but, sorry, something's in my eye. Okay, Nick was so focused on remembering who he was because he was having a little difficulties the few days before, so he got so focused on figuring out, remembering his name, that he started writing it in every corner in his room that Mary had given him. And so Allie finds him and gets him and Leaf to leave, and you find out that no one's allowed to talk to Hunter, but Barry convinced one person to talk to Allie about Hunter because what's her name? Mary doesn't agree with those methods or Skinjackers, which you learn in book 2, which is why it's called the Skinjacker Trilogy. You'll get into that name soon. But Barry did that on purpose because he figured out that Allie would leave and that Allie would take Nick too. I don't think he really cared if she took Leaf or not, but he wanted Nick out of the way, even though Mary didn't have any feelings for him at all. It's like nothing ever would have happened. But so they do that, but it doesn't go as they wanted. because Hunter ended up putting both Nick and Leaf into a barrel of pickle juice, and since they're dead, they can't die. They're just stuck there for eternity, pretty much, unless Allie can skinjack, and she couldn't. Or no, it wasn't skinjack. It was pull something out of living. And finally, he was like, either you pull something from living, or I put you in one too. And she couldn't for the first 2 times, but she finally did. She finally managed to, and he's like, I'll let your friends out in, I don't remember how many years he said, but I'm just gonna say a number, 10 years if you study under me until then. She's like, no deal, you said you'll get my friends out now. And so they kick her out until she agrees. And so she went to go get Johnny O's help, surprisingly. She convinces him to help her to go fight Hunter and get her friends back. But by the time she got there, no one was there until they peeled open one of those pickle barrels and found Hunter. Or no, I don't think they opened it. I think they just spoke to him through it. And then he said that Hunter told him how the McGill came, took all of the people he had kidnapped. That would include Nick and Leaf. And Allie has a dark side, apparently, because she decided to leave him in there for all the trouble he calls her. So Johnny O refused to go after the McGill, but Allie had to because she had to save her friends. So she ends up learning skinjacking, which I don't know if she calls it skinjacking yet, because I don't think she learned the proper term until book 2. But she pretty much called it possessing, because that's pretty much what skinjacking is, the art of possession. The dead can possess the living, but not everyone has that ability, and you learn that in book 2, why she has that ability. I don't want to spoil book 2 until you read book 1, so read book 1. But so yeah, she ends up possessing a few people until she can get onto the McGill ship. And she tricks him into thinking that she can teach him skinjacking. And because he's this beast, he thinks he can terrorize more people if he skinjacks them. And she's like, oh yeah, I can do it. There's like 12 steps and you have to do exactly what I say. And then eventually you can skinjack. So he had issues with that at first. He's this ugly, horrid beast. And you also learn, I want to say book 2, why he became that way. Or it might have been in this book. I honestly don't remember. She finds Nick and Leaf in the dungeon, and they're tied upside down along with a good almost 100 people, I think. Because he was trying to collect 100 souls, which is mentioned later in the book. Why? But so she says she's gonna find a way to get them out, and then she kind of befriended the so it's kind of like a Beauty and the Beast thing, which is funny because even when she noticed him and her were getting close, she's like, you know, I don't do this whole Beauty and the Beast thing, right? Which is basically what they end up becoming, the Beauty and the Beast. You know, people, you know, they hate. It's one of these enemies to lovers things because they both hated each other at the beginning, and I love enemies to lovers. If you know me, 3 of my favorite tropes, besides the chosen one, because that's like my all-time favorite trope. Relationship tropes, I guess you can say, are best friends to lovers, enemies to lovers, and forbidden love, because they're always good. You know, the enemies to lovers and forbidden lovers are always so, what's the right word, like, unforeseen, I guess you can say. Like, there's just so many ups and downs, and there's so many twists and turns, and it's just intriguing. The best friends to lovers is just really sweet, because they know each other so well, they know each other all these years, and then all of a sudden, it's so much more than that, and it's just sweet, you know? But yeah, so they become enemies to lovers, because they do fall for each other. They don't really get together until the end of the second book, but then other stuff happens, and it stops them from really being together, and then, so they are canon, but they're not really technically endgame, but that's not really their fault why they couldn't be, and I don't want to spoil that for you. So you have to finish the series to find out why I said that. But anyways, so Nick decides he doesn't want to wait for Allie, so he finds a way to get everyone out. My laptop keeps almost shutting off. So he finds a way to get him and Leaf and everyone else out. Or yeah, does he get everyone else out? I don't remember. I know he gets him and Leaf out, but yeah. Oh no, I think he just gets himself out. He sneaks off to get Mary's help. Mary's very disappointed in him for leaving in the first place. And she doesn't want to risk her children, which is what she calls them because she's a little... I'm going to stop myself now while I'm ahead. She doesn't want to sacrifice her children in a battle. But apparently before Nick left, Mary found out that there's only one person or a group of people that's ever been able to defeat the McGill. He was even tortured for years before he escaped by those people. So she told Nick, and when Nick escaped, he told Mary. So Mary agreed to go with him, and Barry went too because he didn't trust Nick. So they go on this journey to go to those people, and then Allie and Nick came up with a plan that Allie would trick the McGill into believing that the last place they need to go for his training is that place, so they can finally defeat the McGill. What Allie doesn't realize yet is that she's falling for him. She doesn't even realize it in this book. Neither does the McGill. Actually, I think the McGill does realize it, and then gets mad that he betrayed her, and is over those feelings until book 2, when he realizes, oh crap, I love her. But yeah, but Allie doesn't realize it all until book 2. Or actually, I think she begins to see it at the end of this book. But anyways, they're like the main ship, unless you want to include the whole Nick and Mary crap, but Nick's deserves so much better. But they're definitely my favorite ship on here, because it doesn't really get into many ships, because they're dead. Someone on the ship, I think, was suspicious of Allie, didn't trust her, and found the hunter who told the McGill the truth about Allie. And then Allie's like, don't believe him. But he's ended up throwing him overboard in the ship, which means he sunk to not just through the water, but to the center of the earth. But he still ended up hanging Allie where he hung everyone else. And he had all the souls he needed, because I forgot why he needed the souls now. But he needed them for something. He needed 100 souls. So that's why he captured all those people. But Allie has still convinced him that he needs to go to this one place. And he was all hurt because he had started to trust Allie. They had really connected. And he's like, feelings are for weak. I don't need this and that. I don't need her. And then but when they get there, they beat the crap out of McGill, and Allie, and I think this is when she realizes she might actually have feelings for him, or at least like him. I don't think she knows she loves him. Well, I know she doesn't know she loves him until book 2, but at this point she knows she does care about him, and she turns away from them being on him, and she wanted to jump in, but she also didn't want to seem like she was on the McGill side, because McGill's all evil and whatnot. So, but then she turns to Mary, and Mary's like, I think we could have been good friends in another lifetime. She's like, no, we wouldn't, because they are too different. And then she turns to Nick, and she's like, and they decided to part ways, which was hard because they had grown close during their journey, since they did enter this place together, which I do love their friendship, and I wish it was shown more, because they were separated for quite a long time until the end, really. And they almost saw each other again at the end of book 2, but other stuff happened, and then they reunite at the end of book 3, and they have a nice reuniting before what happens, which I won't get into that now. But so Allie decides to leave. Mikey does. I called him Mikey, crap. You're not supposed to know that's his name yet. Oops. Because I don't think, yeah, you learned that that's his name at the beginning of book 2. Oops, that's a spoiler for book 2. I'm only supposed to be spoiling this book, but apparently I'm not doing that great of a job. So let's go. Let's continue. Allie leaves, and then, Mikey, I guess I can go ahead and call him that. I got used to calling him that, even though in the first book he's only called McGill, in the second and third book he's called Mikey. So I kind of got used to calling him Mikey. So Mikey chases him, or chases her, and she skinjacks people to help. And then she's skinjacks some girl who fights her, and she's like, please just help me, I need to get away. Because when you skinjack someone, you can no longer see Everlost because you're seeing their view. So she has no idea what Everlost is like right now. She doesn't know how close Mikey is to her. But if she's in the girl, then Mikey also can't get to her. And she tries to drive, but she doesn't know how, because she's 15. She doesn't have a driver's license. And she might be 14. Oh, well, she's 14, 15. She's around that age. I think she's 14. I think Nick's 15. I don't know. But, so she, but then the girl decides, but then they make a deal that the girl drives and just let Allie kind of be a passenger, which they can do too. They don't have to take, a Skinjacker doesn't have to take full control over someone. They can put them to sleep, which makes them have full control of everything. Their bodies, their thoughts, whatnot. Or they can just kind of be a passenger, and even though that person knows something's off, they don't know what, and they still are in control of everything. But then the girl tricks her and stops the car really fast, and she goes flying out, and she almost sticks to the grass until Mikey comes in on a horse. Must be a dead horse, because they never even explained that plot hole. I mean, the horse is in book 2 a little bit too, I think, if I remember correctly, because I think they kept writing it together on their journeys in book 2. But, he grabs her and pulls her up, and Allie was surprised that he saved her. I think he was surprised he saved her, because I think he wanted to, you can't really kill the dead, so I don't really know what he was planning. Maybe he was planning on torturing her, but I don't think he was planning on saving her, but he did, because he cares about her, and she was surprised, but grateful, because she cares about him. But while that was going on, Nick, and Leaf, were still at the ship with Mary and Barry, and Leaf ended up finding coins, which Mary has this whole book about rules and Everlost, things you do and don't. Like, she has a thing about Skinjackers are bad. She also has a thing about fortune cookies are bad, because fortune cookies actually come true for Everlost, because all fortune cookies come into Everlost, and they end up coming true. That's how, oh yeah, I forgot about that. That's how how Allie figured it out. Allie figured that out, and that's how she figured out how to trick the McGill into going to that place. She said that's the one place he never wanted to go again, but she wrote a fortune cookie saying that place of victory will be in that place, and she was like, well, if that's it, then I might as well go. So yeah. But, and she also has a thing about, coins, because whenever you go meet Solitaire in her place, you're supposed to throw your coins. Every every person who wakes up in Everlost comes with a coin, and they're supposed to throw their coin in this fountain and make a wish. But it turns out it's more meaningful than that, because in that scene you find out that coins actually take you to wherever you're supposed to go when you're ready. If it's warm, it means you can't go yet. You're not ready, or either you're a Skinjacker, which I might have just spoiled that, but I don't know if you'll figure it out by that. So, yeah. But if it's cold, then a light comes, and there's nothing stopping you from moving on at that point, and then you find a moment of clarity, which happened to Leaf. He found a coin, it was cold, so this light came that only he could see. And he remembered, Nick is like, what's going on? He's like, it's light. And then he's like, I remember and Nick's like, Leaf, and he's like, no, my name is, what's his name? Crap. I forgot what his real name is. I'm so used to calling him Leaf because he was called Leaf the entire time. Oh yeah, here's when this shows how upset Allie was, because her and Nick were talking when he was getting beat up. Oh yeah, you also find out that Mary and Mikey are brother and sister, which was surprising, which was a big twist. But he's getting what he deserves, said Nick. But we should do something, said Allie. This is awful. So yeah, that proved that she cared. I wonder if I can find what Leaf's real name was. Barry also started running Barry left Mary because he was upset, and he started running the whole, what's it called? The McGill ship, whatever it was. Sulfur Queen, I think that's what it was called. Come on, where's the heck is Leaf's name? Okay, this is still about... It's Haunter, not Hunter. Sorry, I got that name wrong. Speedo, that's the guy who's always dripping wet. I found his name. Come on, it's here somewhere. I think it's this chapter. Okay, my real name is Travis. That's his name. I probably won't remember that tomorrow, but at least I remember for this video. Well, I didn't actually remember. I find it, but that's besides the point. So anyways, so yeah, and then Leaf, or not Leaf, why did I say Leaf? So he moved on, and then Nick found out that Mary knew this, and she's been forcing kids to stay in Everlost when they could move on to the light. So they both raced back to her place because Nick had to do what was right, even if it meant hurting Mary. And Mary was really upset because she feels like Nick betrayed her, but she still loves her. And Nick still loves her, just thinks that she's misguided. So he gets there first and gets all the coins out of, and convinces. It wasn't easy because a lot of the kids trusted Mary, and Mary's like, no coins, never coins. But he finally convinced someone to try it, and then everyone wanted to try it. And then everyone moves on except for Speedo. Barry's gone at this point. Speedo decides to stay with Mary. Mary and Nick still love each other, but both think the other's the enemy. And then in the epilogue, I think it's the epilogue, right? Or is it just the last chapter? I don't remember if they actually called it an epilogue or not. Chapter 30, Leaving Everlost. Yeah, there's an epilogue. It's a little bit into the future. I don't think it's that far into the future. But it's talking about a little girl who just got there, and then she's met by the Sky Witch, which is Mary, because now she doesn't stay in her little home, even though she still takes kids there. She travels in, what do I say, a blimp or something that flies. And she's called Sky Witch now. She's supposed to be something great, and she tells the little girl that stay away from a monster called the Chocolate Ogre, which it doesn't really tell you who the Chocolate Ogre is yet, but yeah, that's how it ends. It's an airship, that's what it's called. But she thinks she's saving anyone while all she's doing is keeping them. And Nick is the one that's really saving everyone because he's helping them move on and find peace and be happy. And she's trying to stop him. And it's called the Chocolate Ogre, no? Because even though he looks terrifying because his chocolate, like I mentioned, became the one thing he focused on, so it became who he was, consumed him. But he was still him for a while, at least. I don't want to get into that right now. And even though he looked terrifying, he was the good guy. Even though Mary was the one that looked all pretty, she was the bad guy. So, wasn't it simpler when good guys look like good guys and bad guys look like bad guys? Apparently not. So this is an amazing series, and I suggest it. And then please watch my other 2 reviews and see what you think about those. But I absolutely love it. I love Allie and Nick. Nick is everything. He is such a sweetheart. And I love Allie and Mikey together. They are amazing, best couple. Hate Mary. Hate her. Sorry. I'm gonna stop before I get into an hour rant. But yeah. So Nick deserves better. But yeah. So that's Everlost. Please. So I love it. Please check it out because I feel like it's very underrated. I think a lot of the books I read is underrated. I never hear them talked in the booktube community. Oh well. So please like and subscribe and comment your thoughts on this review, on this series, and I guess we will chat below. So that's Everlost, and I will see you guys later.